Hey guys, Attorney Brent Boyer again. So let's talk divorce. Wanted to talk today about a question that we get from time to time. Do we handle divorces where there's an agreement, where people have already reached an agreement on everything, or they're pretty sure they have an agreement? And of course, absolutely we do. Not everybody that comes to us is fighting over things or having problems or in these types of issues at the beginning of a divorce. It's not all bad. It's not all trouble. It's not all the contentious and all this fighting and that sort of thing. Plenty of clients that we represent have come to us with either an agreement. Some of them have the agreement all laid out already. Some of them think they are going to pretty much be on the same page from talking and discussing these things with their wife, or they have a complete agreement. Some of them already have a signed agreement. So it just depends on where things are at with your particular situation. If you know your marriage is not going to be going forward anymore and you got to get divorced, hiring us is certainly an option, even if you think you do have an agreement on everything. And be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Don't want to forget to mention that. But yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that looks as far as the beginning stages of a divorce, and is there agreement or is there not an agreement. We've done some other videos and talked about some things where if there's already a written signed settlement agreement and no divorce case is filed yet, that can be a little bit of a problem under Michigan law. That almost kind of goes too far, because now we have an agreement, or we think we have an agreement, and the reality is we probably do not have a binding contract, because it's just a husband and wife signing some sort of intent to divorce, and if they divorce, this is going to be how it's going to go. So that can be a little tricky, probably not enforceable. But if you two both agree to be bound by it, it doesn't have to be enforceable. So that's one way to look at things always, is that if you two are on the same page, you and your wife, and you know what you're going to do with whatever issue you're dealing with, custody, either legal custody or physical custody, parenting time schedules, child support, spousal support or alimony, property division, assets, liabilities, who's going to get the house, who's going to sell, selling the house, keeping the house, if someone's keeping it, what the details of the refinance and purchase of the house are, if you're paying your wife some money to buy her out of the house, or she's paying you, whatever these issues might be, retirement accounts, division of retirement accounts. There's all these things, of course, that could be involved in a divorce case in Michigan, and or really anywhere for that matter. So yeah, you can have an agreement. You would still want an attorney. There's still a lot to this. If you have a house, so you own some real estate, you have some retirement accounts, and you have some other investments or whatever it might be, savings, checking, and all those sorts of things, and vehicles, and then you also have kids, so now you've got custody, parenting time, child support issues. That's a lot to kind of sit down and put pen to paper and try to handle on your own. So clients hire us all the time to help them do the divorce process. We get the divorce case filed, make sure it gets filed properly, make sure the paperwork's done correctly, have their wife served with papers, make sure her response is done correctly, and then work out the different court appearances that are going to come and go. If there's children, there's a 6-month waiting period. There usually could be 3 court appearances in most counties to get from beginning to end in a divorce with children. Even if you have an agreement, there's still kind of this whole process to navigate, and that can be hard to do, and of course you don't know anything about it. It's not what you do for a living. So you would want an attorney to help you with writing things up, making sure things are handled properly, making sure the real estate is done within the right way so you're not going to have problems down the road. Make sure that custody, parenting time, support are all written up properly so there's not issues with that later, and the options of being in the court system or out of the court system, whatever it might be, in these different choices. So you definitely would want an attorney to help you with that, plus the court appearances. If you have kids, there's at least 3 court appearances minimum. Even if you do not have kids, there's a good 2 court appearances minimum in most counties to get a divorce completed. So even with agreement on things, you're going to have your first court date might be a pretrial or a case management conference or an early intervention conference. They have all these different terms for these things depending on the county. And so you're going to want to know, okay, well, what do I got to do at that court appearance? What's expected of me? Just because you have an agreement doesn't mean you don't have to appear at the court appearance. So you want to be aware of all that and know what's going on and have help with it. And then your next court appearance might be another pretrial or a settlement conference or a first trial date or whatever term they're using for it in your county. And you want to know, okay, well, now we did this other court hearing. Now, a couple months later, I got to do a different court hearing. It's called something else. What's expected of me at that? Are there forms I need to have completed by then? Which, of course, yes, there are. And, are there other things I got to do? So there is this whole process. It wouldn't be as simple as, well, we already have an agreement, so, it's no big deal. I don't need a lawyer. We'll just write something up and we can be done. Hard to do. Probably not going to work. Those are a lot of issues. Trying to handle those on your own, it's just not going to be that great trying to do all that on your own. There's just too much to it. But if you and your wife have an agreement, or you think you're pretty much agreed on everything, that of course goes a long way. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money, saves aggravation, stress, concerns, bad feelings, all that stuff is out of the way. That's a huge difference. It doesn't speed up your divorce process if you have an agreement, not really. There's 2 different waiting periods in Michigan. If there's kids, you have a 6-month waiting period. If there are no children, it's only a 60-day waiting period. So a divorce can be, 2-3 months at the bare minimum. Can take more like 8 months to a year if there's a lot of issues, or you fall somewhere in between, depending on whether you have children or not. So that's all something to keep in mind. What's going on during that whole process is something you're going to want help with. You're not going to know what each step of the process is, what's expected at the court hearings, what paperwork you're required to do, what the paperwork needs to say, where to file it, how to file it. It's this whole thing. It makes your head spin. But it's one step at a time. It's one process at a time, and it's something that we deal with every day. So it's very doable. But this idea of, do we handle divorces with people that have an agreement? Absolutely we do. Do you need a lawyer even if you have an agreement? Absolutely you do. For sure. So I hope that helps. Thanks.